You know, they say the best way to tell a story in a movie is through a trilogy. You know, a beginning, a middle, and an end. Like, the general opinion of trilogies that the first two are great and masterful, and yeah, the third is kind kind of a letdown. Like the original Star Wars trilogy, all great, but the majority agree Empire Strikes Back is the best and Return of the Jedi is the weakest. The Dark Knight trilogy, all great, but the majority agree that The Dark Knight is the best and The Dark Knight Rises is the weakest. The Terminator trilogy, the majority agree that Terminator 2 is the best. Indiana Jones, a lot of people would say the Temple of Doom is the weakest and Raiders of the Lost Ark is the best. Same pretty much goes for Back to the Future. The Godfather, Spider-Man trilogy, a lot of people considered Spider-Man 2 to be the best and Spider-Man 3 to be the weakest, and Toy Story, well, everyone loves Toy Story, and I agree, all three of them were perfect. But I personally think there's one trilogy that stands above all the rest, and I think you all know what that is considering you've seen the title of my review. Lord of the Rings trilogy is of course the most successful, ambitious and beloved film trilogy of all time, and it set the standard for perfect film in general. It grossed nearly $3 billion at the box office, won 17 Academy Awards, and just about every fantasy ever has been considered a rip-off or a poor imitation sin. I was unfortunate not to see these movies at the cinema, but it was probably the best decision because I was only 6 when they came out, and they're not really kids' films, am I right, guys? Well, luckily I got to see them about 7 years later in 2008. That's right, I saw The Fellowship of the Ring and all 3 Lord of the Rings films 8 years ago. And has The Fellowship of the Ring, the first in this trilogy, held up even 15 years after its release? Well, let's find out. This is The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring.
The world is changed. I feel it in the water.
Nice.
I feel it in the earth.
Zazu. Yes? Sir, news from the underground.
I smell it in the air.
Oh, Shrek, did you do that?
So our movie begins with Galadriel narrating the past that apparently the forging of
To the elves, immortal, wisest and fairest of all beings.
3 rings were given to the elves, 7 rings were given to the dwarves, and 9 rings were given to the men. And within these rings was bound the strength and will to govern all the races of Middle-earth. However, unfortunately for them, another ring was made. And I have to say, this opening scene is masterful. It explains the backstory without dragging on too long. It immerses you in this beautiful world of Middle-earth, and it's epic. And keeps you gripped.
In the fires of Mount Doom.
It turns out the Dark Lord Sauron forged his own ring, one ring to rule them all. So basically, a Horcrux. And do you know what I'd love to see? A movie about Sauron, Voldemort, and Darth Vader. Ah, Voldemort, at last we meet. Don't be so sure of that, arse, Ron. I am invincible just like you. I have 7 Horcruxes. You only have 1. Ha 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 ha. Yes, but did you know I have all 7 of your Horcruxes? Not to mention the Sword of Gryffindor. Oh, bugger, please, no, no. What? Hey, Sauron. What? I have your ring, and I'm going to drop it in Mount Doom. Moral of the story, folks. Darth Vader won because he was the only villain who didn't make a stupid Horcrux. So a last alliance of men and elves battle it out against Sauron's orc armies on the slopes of Mount Doom. Victory seems near until Sauron arrives. And after Sauron kills Elendil, Isildur, his son, then takes up his father's sword and defeats Sauron by slicing the ring off Sauron's finger, ending the Dark Lord's life once and for all. And since Sauron's now presumed dead, you'd think that the story would end there. Well, hell no. Listen up, people, because a lot happens over the next 2,000 years. Elrond orders Isildur to cast the ring into the fire and destroy it. But Isildur's like, screw you, and takes the ring for himself. Since the ring corrupts Isildur, it ultimately betrays him to his death. And so the ring rests for 2,500 years at the bottom of a lake, but is then found by a creature named Gollum who has a crack addiction to it and keeps it for the next 500 years. But unexpectedly is found by not Martin Freeman Bilbo Baggins, who then takes it back to the Shire for the next 60 years and still has it. Did you get all that? So 60 years later we are introduced to Bilbo's nephew Frodo, played by Elijah Wood, and the wise wizard Gandalf, played by the legendary Ian McKellen, and I absolutely love their introduction.
You're late.
A wizard is never late, Frodo Baggins. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
That's a brilliant excuse of getting out of a detention for being late at school.
You're late, Mr. Thomas.
A student is never late, Professor McGonagall. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.
Well, I can't really fault you for that. Okay, I suppose you're off the hook.
Yay!
Nah, only kidding. You've lost your house a crap ton of points and will receive the 10.
What the? So Gandalf reunites with Bilbo, who it turns out they have a long history together as they went on a quest 60 years ago in The Hobbit, of course, but I'll talk about that later, as it's time to celebrate Bilbo's 111th birthday. The entire Shire arrives for Bilbo's party, but as Bilbo makes his speech, he puts a mysterious ring on which he just pulled out of his pocket and turns invisible. But Bilbo's not going to get away so easily, as Gandalf appears out of nowhere and demands Bilbo show him that ring.
I think you've had that ring quite long enough.
You want it for yourself!
Do not take me for some conjurer of cheap tricks. I am not trying to rob you. Trying to help you.
Well, if you were trying to creep us all out, Gandalf, you succeeded. You notice that Gandalf did the exact same thing in The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey to shut all the dwarves up. So Bilbo takes a holiday and leaves Frodo Bag End, but not before reluctantly leaving the ring with Gandalf. So as Frodo enters Bag End, we get an extreme close-up shot with Gandalf.
Is it secret? Is it safe?
Whoa, real extreme close-up there, Peter Jackson. Granted, it works here because it adds some element of surprise and suspense. And after a lot of research, Gandalf can now confirm that Bilbo's ring is the One Ring forged by Sauron.
But he was destroyed. Sauron was destroyed.
No, Frodo. The spirit of Sauron endured. His life force is bound to the ring, and the ring survived.
And to make matters worse, the enemy now knows where the ring is, as they've captured Gollum and tortured him in the dungeons of Barad-dûr, as he revealed that Bilbo took the ring and it's now in the Shire. Oh crap. If they get the ring and revive Sauron, then basically all is lost. So Gandalf tells Frodo to make for the village of Bree, as he goes to see the head of his order at once. But before long they hear a rustling in the bushes. I wonder who could it be? Ooh, that's gotta hurt. People should do that to burglars more often as it will teach them to break in.
So apparently the intruder is a gardener named Samwise Gamgee, as he was eavesdropping on their conversation, and Gandalf decides that Sam will aid Frodo on his quest to bring. So as Frodo and Sam leave the Shire, they run into the mischievous Merry and Pippin, played by Billy Boyd and Dominic Monaghan, as they have been stealing crops from Farmer Maggot. And when Farmer Maggot gives chase, the four hobbits all fall down a big hill, and when they get to the bottom, luckily they're perfectly fine without a scratch.
Thank God that was a carrot that he bent. For a second there, I thought it was something else.
But they're not out of the woods yet, as Frodo notices a chill in the air as he warns his friends to get off the road and hide. Now, this of course is the introduction to the Black Rider, or the Nazgul, or the Ringwraith, whatever you call them, and I absolutely love this scene. This is one of the scariest, most suspenseful, so much tension here, and most haunting scenes, and one of the best villain introductions ever put to film. You feel constantly terrified by this Black Rider. You don't know what it's going to do to them, you don't know where it came from, and whenever they come you're like, oh crap, they're screwed. Meanwhile, Gandalf travels to Isengard to speak with the head of his order, Saruman, at once about the return of Sauron. And it turns out Saruman, played by the legendary Christopher Lee, has some news for Gandalf too. Not only has Sauron now taken the form of a giant flaming eye, but even worse, Saruman has now sided with Sauron.
Wait, what could Sauron possibly have offered Saruman to join him?
Saruman, join me.
Wait, why would I join you? What's in it for me?
Ah, well, you get free
ice cream!
Well, can't really argue with that. Alright, you've got yourself a deal.
So after Gandalf wisely refuses to join Sauron, Gandalf and Saruman have an epic duel in Orthanc. But Saruman proves too strong for Gandalf, as he can apparently use the Force and overpowers Gandalf.
How dare you try to stop me from getting my free ice cream!
So our four hobbits make a lucky escape from the Black Rider as they arrive at Bree. I just love that Peter Jackson cameo there. Yeah. So once in the prancing pony, they are then watched by a mysterious ranger. But Frodo accidentally slips and exposes the true power of the ring in the most famous shot in the entire movie. It makes you invisible. How handy would that be? In fact, I have the ring right now. I'm gonna try it. Whoa, I can't believe it actually worked. Ah. Whoa, Sauron. Didn't expect to see you.
Join me and you can have all the free ice cream you want.
Sorry, big guy, there isn't any way you're conversing me with your stupid ice cream.
Ah, you just suck.
Anyway, so the mysterious ranger known as Strider rescues Frodo, and we all know him, of course, to be Aragorn, but we'll find that out later, as he tells Frodo that by putting the ring on, he's now alerted the Nazgul, the Ringwraiths, the servants of Sauron, who are hunting that ring and will kill the one who carries. So as Aragorn takes our four hobbits into the wild to keep them safe from the Ringwraiths, let's just say Pippin's gotten a little peckish.
Gentlemen, we do not stop till nightfall.
What about breakfast?
Already had it.
We've had one, yes. What about second breakfast?
Okay, did you know that hobbits actually eat 8 meals a day? That would mean they'd have to go to KFC, McDonald's, and Burger King all in one day. I'm surprised they don't get really overweight. But you know, Pippin, my grandmother always makes me a second breakfast. So Aragorn, who I forgot to mention, played by the legendary Viggo Mortensen, takes them to the fortress of Weathertop for the night, gives them all a sword, and keeps watch for the Ringwraith. So our hobbits let hunger get the better of them as they stupidly light a fire when there are Ringwraiths hunting them, alerting the Ringwraiths to Weather. So then we get this legitimately awesome and terrifying scene where the ring race around our hobbits, which rivals the Dementors' introduction in Harry Potter any day. Frodo puts the ring on and sees the ring wraith's true form, but sadly then gets himself stabbed. Did I notice that Frodo sucks in these films? Seriously, he can't fight back, stand up for himself, or defend himself. He has to be constantly saved by everyone else all the time. Why wasn't Sam the chosen one? You'll see Sam's badassery later on.